Tommy Boyd.
Remember, mum's the word. I had a lovely drive. I've got a lovely drive planned. I'm driving to Bradford on Sunday morning. I might set off on Saturday night. I'll probably go on Sunday morning. Lovely drive to Bradford. Marvellous. Motorway nearly all the way. And I suddenly realised how much I'm looking forward, not just to being in a car, bowling along, listening to the radio, humming to myself, whatever. I suddenly realised how much I was looking forward to that moment when you see that sign. That sign. You've done 150 miles, and you're feeling a little parched, and you want to stretch your legs, and then suddenly you get that sign, and you're given this great broadside of anticipation, because you've got something wonderful to look forward to. That sign, the sign that says, Motorway Services, 24 miles. Oh! And you can almost smell the coffee. Free call 0500 1053 89. Let's celebrate Motorway Service Stations. They are brilliant. It's not that long ago that if you were driving anywhere, you had to look out for one of those curious vans with a rectangular hole cut in the side and a pretty dubious-looking chap buttering, at least you hope it's butter, some pretty dodgy-looking bread. No, motorway service stations are much better than cafes, far better than English restaurants, whatever they are. People say, what is English cuisine? What is British cooking? I'll tell you what British cooking is. I'll tell you the best restaurants in Britain which cook British food for British people and tourists. It's motorway service stations. They don't get any of the credit they deserve, so let's put that right between now and 4 o'clock. I tell you, there should be a motorway service station in every town. We don't need shopping centres. What we want in the middle of our high street is a motorway service station. They are fantastic, aren't they? They're bright, they're clean, they're fast. They're open 24 hours a day. Think about that. When I was a boy, at 11 o'clock at night, there was nothing to do. We used to sneak into the airport because there'd be a cafe open right through the night. Now, lots of young people and lots of not so young people can't sleep, don't sleep, want to be doing something at 2 o'clock in the morning. Where can you go? A motorway service station. But it means a trip in a car. If you had a motorway service station in the middle of your town, all right, you've got everything there that you want to make you feel good, all under one roof. Unlike shopping centres, motorway service stations don't sell you anything that's going to make you feel bad. It's all about the feel-good factor. And if you don't want to buy anything, then you don't have to buy anything. You can just stop, stretch your legs, use the loo, and back in the car 10 minutes later, and this is an important point, a safer and a better motorist. No, it's time to give credit where credit is due. Our motorway service stations are brilliant. The food is excellent. I don't know if you know, it's a well-known fact that John Major's favourite meal is a motorway service station breakfast. It is. It's well known that shortly after he became Prime Minister, they were driving somewhere in the Prime Ministerial cortege, and he said he was peckish, so naturally they started to think around, where can we get a 5-star restaurant? Where can we get an Egon Rone, something or other? And he said, in his own wonderful voice, I would really quite like egg, chips, sausages, mushrooms and tomato. And so they made a beeline for the nearest motorway service station, and they got that and all they wanted. The food is excellent. It's just what you want, because you want to be in and out. You don't want to spend 2 hours there. And another important point about motorway service stations, which is why they really are the best of British, because we are an egalitarian society. We come back to John Major again. He strove for us to become a classless society, and nowhere do you see classlessness more obviously decorating a restaurant than in a motorway service station. If you go to a posh restaurant, you'll only see Range Rover Roger. And if you go to your local fish and chip shop, you're most likely to only see dining there Mr. and Mrs. Lorry Driver, okay? But you go to a motorway service station and there they are at the same table, cheek by jowl, fighting over the sauce bottle. Free call 0500 10 53 89. There is tons to celebrate about our motorway service stations. You just didn't notice. Maybe you're driving along on the motorway now. Maybe you've just seen a sign that says motorway service station. Notice yourself. Notice how much happier you feel, how much more contented you feel. Notice how much of a better driver you are now that you know that refreshment and succour is in sight. Some of them have their own radio stations, and I'm told they're very good. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Many of them have first aid points. Some of them, I'm told, even have chapels. Would you believe? Fantastic. You can get anything in a motorway service station. Absolutely anything. They will never say, no, we don't have those. You can get some fantastic knickknacks. My favourite is the small rubber ring that you can buy, which is grey, that you blow up, and it goes around your neck, round your throat, and it means that as a passenger, you can doze upright without getting neck ache because your head goes to one side or the other. Who invented that? Fantastic. Where can you buy it? Airports? We don't go there very often. Motorway service stations. Motorway service stations. Free call 0500 10 53 89, and they're safe. This is an important point. They're safe. You don't feel safe stepping out of your front door. You certainly don't feel safe in your high street. You certainly don't feel safe anywhere at 2 o'clock in the morning. But you do feel safe any time of the day and night at a motorway service station. You know there's nobody lurking. Nobody drives 120 miles to lurk. Everyone's got a car, and all cars have number plates, and all motorway service stations are patrolled by security cameras, so nutters behave. It's as simple as that. Nutters behave. Gone are the days when a coachload of Leeds fans on their way home from the Spurs game meet a coachload of Chelsea fans on their way home from the Newcastle game at an agreed motorway service station and decide to have their discussions on the bridge over the motorway. That used to happen, but no longer. These places are heaven on earth. Let's nail this one down. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Without them, there'd be a lot more accidents. With people tired, people driving whilst they're thirsty, people driving whilst they're dying to use the loo. We owe them a lot. It's payback time. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Boyd. Free call 0500 10 53 89. 0500 10 53 89.
Ori's our next caller, calling from Coventry. You're on Talk Radio. Ori, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. All-day breakfast at motorway service stations, even at 2 a.m. Fantastic,
Fantastic.
Tommy. I tell you, when you're knackered, you're driving home on the motorway, pull over at the service on the M1 or any service, and you get your bacon, your sausage, and I can't get it anywhere else as good.
No. If I was driving for a living, I would have 6 breakfasts a day. I would only eat breakfasts.
It's just fantastic. I don't know anywhere that does a better full English breakfast.
Yeah, and the eggs are always, like fresh and runny. They've never gone hard inside the yolk, have they?
Nope. No. Always perfect.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. They must throw away the fried eggs if they've been there for more than 5 minutes.
Well, at those time in the morning, they usually make them for you on the spot.
Oh, where else do you get that?
And you see them cooking, and you can ask for as many as you want.
Where else do you get
go back for extras.
And you can see them cooking it as well, so you know that it just hasn't come out of the warmer.
Just perfect.
Gorgeous.
And you have them just as runny or flipped over or just as you like them.
Yeah, and can you get a mug of tea as opposed to a cup of tea?
Oh, I don't know.
I
usually stick to the coffee.
Stick to the coffee? Nah.
Yeah, keep you awake type thing.
Yeah. Are you driving today?
I will be in a minute, yeah. I'm going to be on my way to London.
You're on your way to London, and have you planned your stopover?
Yep, it's at Scratchwood. You know Scratchwood?
Of course.
Beautiful, beautiful place. That's also the place where you can turn around as well.
What are the famous motorway service stations? Everybody talks about the Watford Gap, but I've never been there. Gap. Is it any good?
It's a blue boar, isn't it?
I don't know.
Am I allowed to mention that? Yeah. It's quite good. I mean, there's 2 of them quite close together.
Newport Pagnell.
Ooh.
Is there one there?
Ooh, that rings a bell, but I don't know. I travel on the M1 virtually weekly, sort of 200 miles a week, sort of on the M1. So I tend to vary where I stop to see what it's like. And Scratchwood is one of my favourites because it's just like just before London or just after I've left London, depending on which way I'm going.
Don't you feel great when you actually start indicating left?
It's when you can slow down and you sort of start parking that I like it.
That's it. Ori, thank you.
Take that break.
Thank you for your call. Drive safely.
Thank you.
Enjoy your meal.
Thank you.
Gorgeous. Darren calls from Grimsby. You're on Talk Radio, Darren. Good afternoon.
All right, mate.
Darren.
Yeah. Where are you coming from, Tom? The food on the motorway is absolutely crap. It's totally overpriced. We went there the other day. There was nothing there we wanted. As for the bloke who was on a minute ago with the breakfast that are absolutely great, his pockets must be paved with gold, man.
What did you want, Darren? What did you want to eat? A gourmet like you. What did you want?
Well, we preferred to go in. We wanted something that was going to be so...
What?
Not so... Well, something decent like fish and chips or something like that. And there was nothing. There was like gammy mushrooms, some chili con carne that had gone sort of skin topped. There was some peas, some hash browns, and that was about it.
Well, you can always get fish and chips at a motorway service station.
There was nothing there, mate. I'm telling you. There was 2 of us there. This is twice it's happened.
I'm sorry. You will always get... And I'm not talking about battered cod here. You will always be able... breaded cod. I don't like breaded cod, but you can always get battered cod and chips and peas at a motorway service station. You obviously didn't ask.
Honestly, mate, we went through and there was nothing.
You didn't ask?
We did.
No,
we walked straight into this cafe, the restaurant...
And said...
we said, what you got going? And she said, what are you after? I said, well, something fried maybe, or fish and chips. And she went, oh, sorry, all we've got is what's on thingy. Oh, you can go across to... what was it across the other side? Something like
the main
KFC.
One. Yeah, the main one.
Oh, but we do burgers or we do KFC across the other side, but it's not what I wanted. It's not that sort of fried food I wanted. It was early morning, we were after a breakfast.
Yeah.
And there was just absolutely nothing there. It was crap. It was really rubbish. And for the money that they slap, the price tag to slap on everything, you expect to have something there for what you want to cater for everybody, and they don't. The only other option is going to the shop downstairs, and even they're excessively priced.
Right. But let's just get down to the nitty-gritty of this, shall we? What is special about the fried food that you wanted? Did you want it extra fried, or did you want it with a low-fat fry-up? Or...
No, it's everything that they do. The one good thing about the Motorway Service Station, I will give about the bloke of fennel, is that the fry-up is really good.
Yes.
It is a very good fry-up.
Yes.
But for the stuff that they had on there, they didn't have what I wanted. And all they had that they did have that was fried was the gammy mushrooms, and that was it.
Yeah, I'm confused. 1 minute you want fish and chips, and the next minute you want a fry.
No, I'd said that I wanted some fried food or fish and chips, or like a fry-up or fish and chips, and they had absolutely nothing.
Oh, Darren, you really can't come on the radio and tell people that you went to a motorway service station and you couldn't get a fry-up.
Oh, come on, man. Seriously, you have to... It's talk radio, yeah? And
Please.
I'm telling you, mate. We've done 2 trips, yeah, in the last week and a half. One down to Wembley, Newton Pagnell we stopped at. Newton Pagnell was totally overpriced, but it was totally packed out.
Money you earn.
We couldn't move at Newton Pagnell, so that's a fair comment. We couldn't get in there the amount of time we were allowed to stop on the coach. And we're coming back from Coventry like we did the other day, thinking of where we stopped. I'm not sure if it's Tamworth where we stopped.
Well, maybe
and it was absolutely disgusting, mate. It was... How you can sit there and say, oh, it's absolutely brilliant, well worth it, we should pay tribute. I'm sorry, mate, I have to disagree.
Yeah, well, maybe middle-class people like me, know a bargain when we see one.
No, hang on, mate. What? The way you're going on that, an absolute bargain, your pockets must be paved and all, because you can't be middle-class. Middle-class is like somebody like us in Grimsby, that the wages aren't excessively high.
Lorry drivers aren't middle-class.
No, but lorry drivers earn a fair whack of money, and I know this for a fact.
You probably earn more than I do.
A member of the family who drives the wagons, and he's not sort of short of cash for doing what he does. And for somebody to come on the radio and say, absolute bargain, absolute this, absolute that, I'm sorry, mate, I just totally disagree.
Darren in Grimsby. Dave calls now from Surrey. You're on Talk Radio, Dave.
Yeah, Darren knew what he was talking about. I can't believe the rubbish you're coming out with today,
I was just going to apologise to you for Darren.
Well, God, he was the only bloke that's talking any sense on your station today. Have you got shares in Little Chef or something?
No, I certainly haven't. I know a good thing when I see it, and I think that, if we're a nation of people who complain when we feel that it's justified, we should also celebrate where we feel it's justified. Our motorway service stations, they are the best of British, Dave.
Listen, the only reason the food tastes good is because you're virtually starving to death by the time it gets on your table. They should knock down all those Little Chefs and replace them with McDonald's and Wimpy's. Alternate between the two. 1 McDonald's, 1 Wimpy. 1 McDonald's, 1 Wimpy. So you've got a decent choice. The last 2 times I've stopped at those bloody places, I've had to wait over half an hour to get served. And, if you've got, a hyperactive kid, that is no fun. They're, wrecking the place. They're going mad. They're nicking everyone else's food. It's terrible. They're really understaffed and they're really overpriced. 5-6 quid these breakfasts that you were going on about. They should be good at that
They're
price.
very good value, man. Do you do the shopping? Do you do the shopping in your house?
Occasionally.
Occasionally is the right answer, isn't it? Not very often.
Are you telling me that £5 is good value for a breakfast? Have you been to McDonald's? They're £1.29 there.
When you go out and do the family shopping day, when you know what a basket full of groceries costs, then you're in a position to talk about overcharging at restaurants.
I know exactly what it costs. I know it costs at least £100 a week to feed our family.
Yes, that's neither here nor there. We're talking about a fry-up. Right, what's black pudding selling at the moment, a quarter?
Black pudding?
Lovely.
I don't actually go for black pudding, I must confess.
Wimp. Sausages.
How
much is a pound of decent sausages?
About 120.
Yeah, you can pay a little more than that if you want proper Cumberlands, but anyway. And bacon. Now, streaky or best back?
Well, streaky, it depends how many rashers, doesn't it? I guess you get about 10 streaky rashers for about £1, but if you want decent stuff, you're looking about £2.
Yeah, but then you've got the overheads to pay, of course, haven't you? Because somebody's got to cook it, somebody's got to do the washing up, somebody's got to look after the kitchens, somebody's got to tidy up the restaurant area. There's always a table. You'll always get a table.
But McDonald's have the same problem. They can still churn out a decent big breakfast at £1.30.
Look, I don't want to get into branding.
The reason they're overpriced is because they got a monopoly. You cannot go anywhere but a little chef when you're on the motorway unless you want to turn off. Look, there's no choice.
Just to keep things, so that I don't have to deal with memos. All right, can you not use brand names? Can you just talk about fast food chains or motorway service stations?
Yeah, okay, I would. But the point is, there virtually are no motorway service stations other than LC, are there? I mean, they have got a monopoly.
Yeah.
Which is why they can keep you waiting for half an hour and then charge you £5 for a crummy breakfast. Actually, no, the breakfasts are good. I'll give you that.
They're fantastic.
They do taste good.
Yeah.
But you have to wait too long for them.
You get a full breakfast at a motorway service station. You get a little token thing in a fast food chain, don't you? Be honest.
A little what?
A little token thing.
A little token thing?
Yeah, the breakfast that you get at a fast food breakfast, it fits in a little polystyrene.
I suppose, I've got to say, if they were the same price, I'd rather have a motorway cab breakfast than a McDonald's breakfast.
Yeah.
But if it's a choice between waiting half an hour or 5 minutes and getting it for £1.30 as opposed to a £5,
you name me a fast food chain where you're guaranteed being able to park right outside.
Well, yeah, but they're in town centres. It's not the same.
You see?
You can't compare. If they were on the motorway, you'd be able to park outside. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, but then you'd have to pay extra because they pay. You pay for that, man. You pay. It's free parking at a motorway service station. Where else do you get free parking?
Not that many places, I suppose.
Heads on a pole.
Well, listen, all right, because I can't answer that, I'm not going to say, all right, you're right, I'm wrong.
Face down in a ditch.
Not quite, sir.
Nailed to a tree.
Listen, I'll get off the line now and let somebody else have a go. You'll have more people arguing against you than for you.
I bet you we don't. I bet you more people...
We'll get your researchers to counter it. It's 2-1 to the hate motorway cappers at the moment, isn't it?
Dave in Surrey, thank you for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Celebrating something, it's always been a bit of a music hall joke, actually, hasn't it? Motorway food. A bit like British Rail sandwiches and strikes at British Leyland. Well, now, come on, all these things are things of the past. British Rail sandwiches are fantastic right now. They really are. I believe Clement Freud designs them. And motorway service food, motorway service anything, everything under the sun is fantastic. It's the best of British. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Hello, who's this? This is Talk Radio. Free call 0500 1053 89 now. The Talk Radio registration rollover contest.
Next Tuesday, someone, and it could be you, will be the new owner.
This is Talk Radio.
Celebrating motorway service stations. And Julian calls from somewhere on the motorway. You're on Talk Radio, Julian.
Hi, Tommy. Actually, at Membry Services.
Mom, oh, lucky you.
Yeah, when I first started, I was at Newbury, but now I'm at Membry. Yeah, they're fine. The food's good. Can't complain. Bit pricey. But the one bugbear I've got is everything is in big packets. Sometimes you can't afford 20 cigarettes, and you only want 10, and they don't do them. Or you end up buying 20 and smoke more, yeah.
Smoke more.
Yeah, well, but they are good. They're
in for a penny, in for a pound. Don't do things by halves, man. John Wayne didn't.
Yeah. Anyway, Bradford, I'll see you there on Sunday.
You're going to the game. Play out Pompey. Well done, Julian.
All right, mate, bye.
Drive safely. No, it's a fact. It's like the Irish say about betting. They say, if you're going to bet, bet! You know? And it goes with everything in life, doesn't it? If you're going to drink, drink! If you're going to smoke, smoke! Greg calls from Essex. You're on Talk Radio. Greg, good afternoon.
Tommy, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well, yourself?
Good, I'm fine, thanks.
Excellent.
I couldn't agree with you more about the motorway service stations. I do a lot of driving on behalf of my company. And I don't know why I don't stop at more of them, really, because you're always guaranteed the best value, the utmost respect from the staff, and you can always get what you want at half the price of anywhere else. I think the only reason Egon Ronay hasn't graded any of the restaurants is that he must be so full up, from the other restaurants on his way back down the motorway, he just can't force himself to stop. I'd like to give you a couple of examples of a couple of experiences that I've had. I don't normally buy a newspaper, but a few months ago I had to, for other reasons, buy a copy of the Daily Mail, and stopped at a service station along the M6, asked them for the copy of the Daily Mail. They didn't have one, but the girl very helpfully suggested that they might have a copy on the other side, on the southbound carriageway. So I walked out of the shop, only to find that there wasn't actually a connecting bridge. And that did throw me. That kind of sums up the sort of service that I've...
Did you make it?
I had a quick gander, but I don't tend to mix with lorries. There was a few lorries on the motorway, so the Daily Mail, as fantastic as it is, isn't really worth that.
You wouldn't risk your life for the Daily Mail. What was it you needed a Daily Mail for, anyway?
It was an address for a competition.
Really?
Yeah. Right. Another thing is, I've just must be hit this. I've hit this really rich vein of luck because every time at the moment I stop at Motorway Services, I seem to be approached by really helpful guys that have just very, very luckily for me got some samples left over, which they're going to sell me at a very reasonable price.
Really?
Normally watches, yeah. They must see me pull in and identify me as like a real bargain hunter.
A high flyer.
Yeah, exactly. They offer me watches that I've never heard of.
Really? Where do they approach you, in the car park?
Oh yeah, they see you pull up. They look at the car you're driving.
Oh really?
When you get out, they approach you.
That's great, isn't that great?
It's really nice of them.
Fantastic.
I wish I'd have been in the opportunity, the position to take advantage of it.
I know, yeah. This used to happen to me around Birmingham. So they wind the window down and they say, here, mate, have a look at this. And they hand you the watch and you hold it in your hands and then they don't take it off you.
That's right. They're always
30 quid.
They're always they just stop there to have their lunch.
Yeah.
Normally about 9:30 in the morning, this is, I'm just in the middle of my lunch, Governor.
Fantastic.
Got a couple of watches you might be interested in. And the fact that they've never heard of them, but they're well worth 150 quid that they want. And I've been so inspired by my adventures in motorway service stations that I'm really, really going to seek out the best quality staff and start my own chain.
Great idea.
But, it's going to take ages to find the right people to do it, obviously. But I've got a snappy name for it as well.
Yes,
it's an acronym based on the top qualities of motorway service stations. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
It's going to be based on the choice available, the respect.
I know where you're going with this one.
And outstanding average prices as well.
Average prices.
Yeah.
Greg, thank you for that.
Okay, Tommy.
Very nice.
See ya.
Good work. He'd been busy. There is a queue, you see, and this is what happens. When you phone a phone-in programme, you can sometimes have to wait 5 to 10 minutes before it's your turn. So if you're not careful, you get busy. You sort of start doing some Galton and Simpson stuff. That's fine. Free call 0500 10 53 89. We're celebrating motorway service stations. They are fantastic. Sue calls from Ipswich. You're on Talk Radio. Hello, Sue. There you are, Sue. Hi.
Hi, Tommy. Can you hear me?
Can now. Thank you.
Okay, hi. I just want to say that my daughter thinks that motorway service stations are brilliant. My husband's an HGV driver, and in the holidays he takes our daughter with him in the lorry because I work as well, and obviously she sleeps overnight in it with him. And there's one particular service station in Alconbury that they stop at, and they'll have an evening meal. They get a free voucher for showers, which she loves. And then she has her all-day breakfast in the morning, which she thinks is the most fantastic thing on earth.
What a life. How old is she?
She's nearly 11.
Fantastic.
Oh, she's going to be a lorry driver, I reckon.
Oh, isn't that great?
They're also brilliant for quietening down children.
Yes.
We just came back from Hastings, and on the way down there we had 2 11-year-old girls who were very boisterous in the back, and we stopped off at the Granada services at Thurrock and bought them a quiz book, which quietened them down in the back very nice so that I could listen to Talk Radio.
It's very true. Knowing what to do with young children on a long journey is a real challenge, and often you forget to pack a carrier bag with some colouring books and a few toys. You do. Or if you do, it's their own toys, so they know what they've got, and so they only last them 20 minutes.
Well, as far as my daughter's concerned, the most important thing is food.
Yes.
She's got to have a huge packed lunch, and when I say packed lunch, it's usually packed for a year.
Yes.
But no, I think service stations are great.
Well, what a wonderful childhood she's having.
Oh, she is. I mean, she's learning how to find routes. She's learned how to use maps.
Yes.
And she knows what the hazardous signs mean.
I'll tell you a good one for her maths, and that is finding your average speed per minute. If she's got a watch in the cab.
Yeah.
Okay, and Dad calls out on the milometer.
Oh, yeah.
He says, 76,921 miles, 0.6. And then she times for a minute and says, time up. And he goes, 76,981, 2 miles, 0.9.
Yeah.
Then she'll be able to work out, by multiplying it by 60, how many miles, how fast he went for that.
Oh,
for that minute.
Oh, that'd be a new game for her.
It keeps you going for about 10 or 20 minutes. Until you realise that when you're on a motorway, you're doing a steady 72.
Well, she has her biggest worry is keeping Daddy awake, I think.
Oh, really?
At the wheel, but there's no problem there because she talks too much.
So thank you for your call.
Okay, Tommy.
Don't we feel cheated if we're on a motorway and we see a motorway service station and we drive past it? Because just for a moment, our mind explodes, a kaleidoscope of images of coffee and snacks, good snacks, and little booky things, and little a little wire thing that spins around that's got lots of little accessories like travel plugs and a waterproof bag for your camera and things. They're little arcades, aren't they? But you also get free parking, fantastic, huge, clean, free loos, great food, and this wonderful egalitarian sense of Britain as she one day will be, a classless society, because you got there's Range Rover Roger sat there with his family and his Labrador, and Mr. and Mrs. Lorry Driver opposite, all settling down to a nice fry-up. Free call 0500 10 53 89. We don't know how lucky we are in this country. Scott calls from Croydon. You're on Talk Radio, Scott. Good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy. Love the show, but I'm afraid this time you are way off. Services should be knocked down. They are unbelievable. Too highly priced. They're just atrocious.
What do you know about it?
I'm a lorry driver.
Ah.
I spend 51 weeks of the year, 6 days a week on these roads, and the services are unbelievable.
Well, what do you want, you fusspot?
You treat like second-class citizens. The lorry drivers have to park at the other end of the services, where the coach people and the car people have to park right outside. They're just too highly priced.
No, well, wait a minute. Let's deal with it one by one. That makes sense that you're parked away from the cars, doesn't it?
And also, the reason why the last caller's daughter likes Alconbury so much is Alconbury is a truck stop, not a service station.
Wait a minute. You know, trucks and cars don't mix, do they? You don't want loads of cars buzzing around you when you're trying to park your Arctic.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean to say that we have to be parked right at the other end of the service area when coaches, which are just as big as lorries, can park right outside.
Look, you sit on your behind, don't you, all day long? What, you sat down for 8-12 hours, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you don't want to walk, what, 200 yards? Come on, how old are you?
I don't disagree with walking at 200 yards, but I do disagree with it when everyone else gets to walk 10 yards.
But lorry drivers are fit and healthy men. Not all car drivers are. Lots of us have grannies, you know, and 2-year-old children. Do you carry grannies and 2-year-old children in your lorry?
No.
Well, there you are then.
But what about the prices? It's unbelievable.
Well, I'm sorry, have we stitched up that complaint of yours? I think so.
No, I don't.
Well, you wouldn't, would you? You're a lazy thing. What age are you?
24.
24. 24, and you don't want to walk a couple of hundred yards. You should be ashamed of yourself. Does you good. It's the only exercise you get. Makes room for a cooked breakfast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There, then. Right. That's that one.
But not at £7 a time, it doesn't, no.
Well, again, you don't do the shopping in your house, do you?
I do the shopping in my house, yeah.
And do you do the cooking and the cleaning?
No.
Ah.
But I can get exactly the same breakfast somewhere else, not at a service area, to the same standard for £2-3.
Then why don't you?
I do. I don't use the services. I hate them.
Well,
they're unbelievable.
Well, we're rather glad because we don't like moaning minis when we're trying to settle down and have a nice meal.
But because they're a means to an end, there isn't anything else on the motorway, then they should be knocked down in a reasonably priced proper cafe.
I would say as well, you know, that there are more important people on motorways than lorries.
No, they're not.
Yes,
no,
there
they're
are.
not.
Yes, there are.
No, they're not.
Yes, there are.
Everything in this country is transported by a lorry. Everything you get is brought to you by a lorry.
Water?
Yeah, brought by a lorry.
When? When does water get brought by a lorry?
All the droughts that we had last year...
Electricity?
Up in the north of Yorkshire, all the lorries came tankers full of water to save the droughts. They was full of water.
Electricity?
But that's not... You don't buy electricity at a service station.
Gas?
These are just bog standard things. Everything in day use. Clothes, cars...
You said everything comes in a lorry, and I've just thought of three essentials that don't.
Everything that you buy, everything that you wear, everything that you eat. The car you drive was delivered to you by a lorry.
All non-necessities?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not non-necessities, are they?
Yeah.
You would die if you didn't eat food.
What are they called? Motorways. They're not called lorryways, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Lorries are a necessity in this country.
So are cars.
Because rail transport is too dear.
And you want special treatment?
No, I don't want special treatment.
I want
the same treatment.
Would you like little golf carts to ferry you from your lorry to the to the restaurant area?
No.
Would you like them to pay a special knockdown price because you're a working man in the transport
It should be a reasonable price, not an extortionate price.
It's not an extortionate price, is it? People don't.
They are.
No,
£7 for a breakfast. It's unbelievable.
Well, you go to a decent hotel, you'll pay £9.50 for a fry-up.
Yeah, but you go to a decent roadside cafe and you only pay £3 and it's exactly the same food standard.
It is not exactly the same food standard, point one, if you don't mind me saying so. Point 2, you can't park at a transport cafe.
Why not? Because you can.
No, you
Plenty
can't.
of parking.
Yeah, but it's gravel and it's all potholed, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Of course it is.
No, it's not.
You know it is.
No, it is not.
Goodness. And there isn't a gigantic loo where you can change a baby in a transport... No, there isn't.
Yes, there is.
What, baby changing facilities?
Yeah.
Do they have a chapel at transport cafes?
Well, what do you want a chapel for?
For your immortal soul.
But you don't drive out on the road to go and worship someone at a chapel. You do it on a Sunday. Or you do it at your local chapel.
You
don't make a point of stopping at the service station.
You can always
just to
pray.
nip into the chapel.
You can always pray. Do transport cafes have their own radio stations? No.
But they have the radio on.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Why would you want your own radio station?
I don't know, but they've got them.
Yeah, and they're not very good.
Well, you say that. The competition's stiff. Scott, I think you're an old whinge bag. What are you?
And I think you're totally out of order on this situation.
Yeah, well, I'll see you one day.
Yeah, cheers, Tommy.
We'll sort it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wheel braces at 25 yards. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Motorway service stations. They're much better than cafes and much better than English restaurants. Have you got an English restaurant in your town? They're funny little places with lace curtains, and you never really see anybody going in or out. And on occasions you have a look at the menu. They're open on Sunday mornings for lunch. And they do things like a roast dinner, belly pork, and their speciality, liver and bacon, new potatoes, veg. Free call 0500 10 53 89. No thanks. Motorway service stations, especially their food, it is brilliant. I'm Tommy Boyd, this is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Celebrating motorway service stations, the very best of British. Olive calls from Aberdeen. You're on Talk Radio. Olive, hello.
Yes, I'm on Talk Radio, and you speak a lot of nonsense, right? I was in service stations from Aberdeen. I went on a coach to Devon. I was on the motorway. Where on earth are you eating that you get good food at a cheap price? Because I was on them from Aberdeen to Devon. That's the whole country. And the food was abysmal. The service was terrible. And we had to clear tables and most of them before we could sit down. Mm. I spent 30 quid on food from Aberdeen to Devon. And one day, you think that's cheap? No. I certainly don't. And incidentally, I do buy the groceries.
Yes.
I do clean the house.
Yes.
And I could make everything that I got one hell of a lot cheaper than that.
Well, that's always the case, isn't it? The point I have to make is that you obviously don't eat out very much.
Oh, I eat out very often.
Where?
Very cheaply. In Aberdeen.
Where?
Now, do you want names?
I want the... What's on the menu?
You can go to a local high street shop in Aberdeen and get a breakfast that's twice as good as the motorway for $1.25. Now, that's... I can tell you what you get.
Maybe you can, but you can't park your coach round the back.
But I'm not going on a coach.
No, but if you've got a coach...
But I could take a car.
The problem is...
Wait a minute. I could take a car. I could take the car.
But you weren't in a car, you were in a coach.
But we've gone with the car as well. We travel all the time to Blackpool.
We
never go to this... The only thing we use in a service station is the toilets.
You can't get a coach in anywhere.
Okay, we'll nitpick.
You have to... It's not nitpicking.
We'll forget about the coach.
You have to build...
We'll go in the car. We'll go in the car to Blackpool.
You weren't in the car. Now you're making stuff
up. Wait a minute. I'm now in a car going to Blackpool. The same thing applies.
In your dreams?
The food is still terrible. It's still pricey. Okay? So, and we've done it countless times. We go to Blackpool 3 times a year in the car.
Why?
Now, I could park the car in Aberdeen.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Why do you go to Blackpool 3 times a year?
Because I like it.
Why don't you vary it?
Because I like Blackpool.
Well, why don't you vary it?
I go other places, obviously. I'm telling you, I went to Devon last year.
Have you ever been to Skegness?
No, not recently.
Well, there you are.
Not recently. So you're telling me if I go to Skegness, the motorway services there are brilliant.
Look, if you don't want to use the food at a motorway service station, Olive, pack sandwiches.
I'll tell you, that's what we did in the week back.
Good.
But your argument is it's service station food is excellent.
It is.
Well, which service stations are you going to?
All of them. I have never been disappointed at a service station. I've been disappointed with some of the people in there who think it makes them look grand gourmets because they look down their noses at the food that's available, but it's just what you want if you're going on a long drive. Who takes the wheel?
If you're thinking as I'm used to eating porterhouse steaks, I'm not.
No, I can tell.
I'm quite happy with fast food.
Yes.
But I want it at a reasonable price.
Yes. Who does the driving of it, Olive?
My husband does.
I thought so. I bet he quite enjoys a nice cooked breakfast at a motorway service station when you let him, Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard.
No, he does not.
No, he does not.
No, he does not.
You see to that, don't you, my
No,
dear?
I don't see to that.
Oh.
He's worse than I am.
Now,
It's a
how's
good
your
job.
bladder?
It's a good job you don't have him on the phone.
What's your bladder like?
Perfect.
Exactly.
But I use the toilets.
Can you get from Aberdeen to Blackpool without needing to freshen yourself up?
No,
Right.
without needing to go to the toilet. No,
Right.
I go into the service stations. I go to the toilet.
Oh, right. So you take your own sandwiches and your drink, but you use the loos on the service station.
Well, what else am I supposed to do? There's nowhere else to go.
Exactly my point. We are subsidising you. We are paying extra for our food, but we're happy to do it because of cheapskates like you. Honestly.
Oh, well, okay,
and-
good. But I reiterate,
Yes.
I don't know where you go for food in the motorway that you can say it's excellent at an excellent price.
But the car parking is free, and so are the loos, and that'll do for you.
So is it at your local supermarket.
No, you can't
Your
go to the
car
supermarket
your
for a
car
wee.
parking is free.
No, but you can't go to the supermarket to park your car, do a wee, and then drive away. They'd have you.
You reckon?
I'm certain.
I'm not. But
I'm
I'll tell you
absolutely
what.
certain.
I'll tell you what.
Yes?
I'll try it the next time I go.
Oh, but you'll sneak in and out. You won't go up to the manager and say, I want to buy nothing, but I'd like to have a wee. You wouldn't do that, would you?
If I said to him I'm a customer, yes, and I'm a customer of the motorway services.
No, you're not, because you just have a wee.
No, not always.
But that's what you said.
Not always.
But you do that.
Well, quite often, yes.
Well, thank you very much.
I can't afford. We're speaking, another thing, you've had heaps of people on there, lorry drivers, businessmen, so on. Okay, it can be grand to get for them to get that meals because they're all being subsidised.
Go in a lay-by.
A lay-by in a motorway?
Pull into a lay-by and go behind a bush.
On a motorway?
Well, you'd have to take a slip road, obviously, off onto a little B road, but that's what you should do. That would be the honourable thing to do. If you're not going to buy something, you shouldn't make use of the tiling.
You are determined to win any point of an argument, aren't you?
It's easy enough.
Way outclassed.
It's easy enough with you Harry Lauder cliches coming on. How Scottish can you get?
Oh, no, come on.
Well,
we're not going to get that old potato, are we?
Well, it does sound a bit like that. You know, you wouldn't
come on.
You wouldn't get somebody from Wales going on saying that what they do is they sneak into a motorway service station, park for free, have a nice freshen up
I'll
for
tell
free,
you something.
bath, shower.
You'll get someone going from every part of Britain into a service station and using the toilet.
You don't.
You do.
Well, you shouldn't.
Well, you do.
But it's not fair, is it?
We've met countless of them, all with the same story. I'll tell you, that coach I'm speaking about going on, I don't think there were two people who used the motorway services on the way back. They all took packed food from the hotel that we were in.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So, where's your argument now? We all went down, we all spent a fortune on the way down.
What sort of a car does your husband drive?
What difference does that make?
I want to make sure all the motorway service stations between Aberdeen and Blackpool look out for you. Because you're a con.
Oh, I'll tell you, they'll have to look out for an awful lot of cars.
Yes.
They'll have to look out for an awful lot of cars.
Keep your eyes peeled.
We are not in the minority.
Keep your eyes peeled on the motorways between Blackpool and Aberdeen. Olive and her husband must be asked to drive on with their legs crossed. That'll learn you, won't it?
Not really. As you see, it's not such a terrible thing to get off the motorway. And I'd certainly do that before I pay their prices.
Olive, thank you for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Motorway service stations, the very best of British. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Let's have a word with Paul, who calls from London. Paul, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon, Tommy. I'm convinced that when Olive and her cohorts made their sandwiches for the way home from Devon back to Aberdeen, they did it by, like they do, sneaking all the rolls out of breakfast.
Yeah.
I love service stations, and my memory goes back, it must be 30 years now, because we used to go up to the West End. I used to live in Boreham Wood, which is near Scratchwood, And the highlight of the evening, well, almost always, depending how the evening had gone, was the 3 a.m. where we'd all meet up again at Scratchwood Services.
Fantastic.
For the final breakfast before going home to bed.
Fantastic.
And ever since then, I can hardly pass one.
No.
And I do feel cheated, like you said, when you go past and you think, oh, no, I missed it. And even one of the firms that one of the other customers was berating, which I won't mention, they actually publish a map of Britain with all their sites on it. So you can actually plan your route so you can stop there, whether you're on a motorway or not. Isn't that brilliant?
Brilliant.
And you can have all-day breakfast as well, because in the fast food, if you go there at 11:30, they won't serve it to you.
No, that's right, that's right. Paul, thank you very much indeed for your articulate endorsement. This one's simple. It's just a slight change to our mindset, isn't it? Motorway service stations are fantastic. Otherwise, we wouldn't feel cheated whenever we have to drive past them.
Exactly.
Mick now calls. He's on the Troll Services near Nottingham. Mick, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Tommy.
Sir?
Duel at 25 yards with your wheel braces. Yeah?
Oh, right, yes. Earlier on, I challenged a lorry driver to a duel.
Yes.
And you want to do it?
Right.
With wheel braces?
With wheel braces.
What are we doing?
Fire away. You said gas wasn't transported on a lorry.
It's not.
It is.
How?
Liquid petroleum gas.
Yeah, that's not gas,
It's
is
gas.
it? It's not
It's
gas.
gas.
Yeah, but we don't run our cookers on it.
We do.
We don't?
People do in the country.
Yeah, well, yeah, all right, the odd recluse.
Electricity?
Yes. No.
How is electricity produced?
In a power station?
Yes.
Yes. On a
Burning
lorry?
coal?
Yes.
Burning coal? Where
Yes.
does the coal get from the docks?
No, nuclear power.
No.
No,
By road.
No.
Goes by road.
Shut up.
Yes.
Go away.
Yes.
Go away.
Two gone.
Go away. Go away. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I think that just about sums it up. And so, our listeners agree. Just as the Oasis was the saviour of countless Bedouin caravans, so motorway services serve and protect travellers as they strive to make it onto the M62 before the evening rush. Motorway services are clean, the staff are keen, their burgers are lean, the soup is fresh from the tureen, and their latrine is fit for a queen.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.